Hello friends, welcome to Affairs Cloud. We learn to lead. My name is Vikas. So friend, in today's video we'll be discussing some of the most important current affairs of the topic national affairs of March month. The video will be very helpful to you, so do watch the video till the end. Hit the like button and share the link of this video with your friends. So friends, we'll start with our video, but before that we have something important to tell you about. Then we provide you same thing for weekly. In weekly we take a quiz of 50 questions. Then question answers of week we provide you a book. PDF is provided you weekly of the compiled questions of the whole week. Similarly for monthly also ebook is given, your quizzes are taken, question answers PDF. Then apart from it we also help you to prepare for banking papers. All the banking exams you can go refer to our videos and our courses here. You can see here the we provide you banking and economic quiz of 157 questions. Okay, then topic wise PDFs are covered. As you can see, we are making videos on indexes and reports, important days, the books and authors, all the events that are taking place in individual months. So these PDFs are provided to you and they will help you a lot in your preparation for journal awareness, your journal studies, as well as for current affairs. Then you can see we also provide you current affairs for state wise current affairs are provided to you. Apart from this, I have a gift for all of my friends here. If you use my code Vikas10, you will be getting a straight 10% discount on the purchase you make. So when you are about to check out and do the payment, just before the payment, you will be getting an option to use the promo code. There you can put the Vikas10, the code, and you will be getting an extra 10% discount on the total purchase you make there. So let's start with our video. So let's start. The first news is that India is to fund in Nepal rupees 246 million for the reconstruction of three cultural heritage sites. I repeat, India will be funding Nepal with 246 million rupees for the reconstruction of three cultural heritage sites. Alright, let's look at the sites. These three sites are, first is Jeshtha Varna Mahavira, it is in Lalitpur. Alright, second is Suligyang Gumba. The third is Shremathang Gumba. Alright, so these are the three sites for whose reconstruction India will be granting 246 million rupees to Nepal. Let's look at the data. A memorandum of understanding, that is an MOU, and a contract agreement for restoration of three or more cultural heritage sites in Nepal were signed between India and Nepal. India will be funding, that is approx to 246 million rupees, that is roughly 15.5 crore rupees under the Government of India reconstruction grant for the three restorations project, and we just saw Jeshtha Varna Mahavira, Suliang Gumba and Shremathang Gumba. The key points regarding this is that all the three buildings were damaged during the 2015 earthquake. India is undertaking reconstruction of 28 cultural sector projects under the Indian reconstruction grant, of which 6 contracts have already been awarded and reconstructed. India has committed a total of a 50 million US dollar, or you can say 5,800 Nepali. Another thing is that a total amount of India that has spent on these reconstruction is close to 50 million US dollar. Alright, so the question can be framed like, which country India is funding for three cultural heritage reconstruction, and the name of the country is Nepal. Alright, moving on to next news. First project to map genomes in Indian Ocean. I repeat, we will be talking about first project that is set up to map genomes in Indian Ocean. What is genomes first of all? A genome is the complete set of genetic information in an organism. It provides all of the information the organism requires to function. In living organism, the genome is stored in long molecules of DNA called chromosomes. Alright, so CSIRNIO, that is your Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, National Institute of Oceanography, is set to launch a 90-day scientific cruise mission to conduct genome and protein mapping that is present inside the single-celled organisms in the Indian Ocean. It will be the first to map genomes in Indian Ocean. What is the objective behind this? First of all, you should know the organization that is set to take place this mission to take this on this mission. The name of the organization is CSIR-NIO. CSIR-NIO stands for Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, National Institute of Oceanography. And at what location, if it is asked at what location this project will be taken place, it is in Indian Ocean. Then the objective is to strengthen India's research into commercial biotechnology applications including anti-cancer treatments, to understand the response of ocean to climate change and nutrient stress. If we talk about this expedition, around 30 scientists will be part of this expedition, which will take place from second week of March to midday. The expedition will start from Vishakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, and will go up to 30 degrees south to touch the waters between Australia and Maldives. Then circle back to Goa, covering up 99,000 nautical miles by mid-May. The scientists will go up to 6 kilometers in the Indian Ocean to collect samples. Alright, so which governing body is conducting this mission? It is CSIR-NIO, and this is the first of its kind project to map genomes in the Indian Ocean. Next, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal and Odisha top in the land records digitization NLRSI index. We will just look at this NLRSI index first. What is this index? Alright, this index has been prepared by NCAER, that is your National Council of Applied Economic Research, with support from Omidyar Network India through its Property Rights Research Consortium. Alright, but what this index is about? This NLRSI index, it was recently launched in the year 2020 February. It measures the performance of all states and union territories on the extent of its digitization process for land records and services. Alright, so it is for the digitization of land records. So what this is saying is that Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal and Odisha has topped in the land records digitization index. In accordance with the second edition of NCAER Land Record and Services Index, and the full form of this NLRSI is NCAER Land Record and Service Index, almost 32 states and union territories have shown an improvement in their effort to digitize land records. Their mean has shown an increase of 16.6% in 2020-21 and various out of it. Next thing you need to remember is that Madhya Pradesh topped the list for the second year in a row, and followed by West Bengal, which secured second position, Odisha third, Maharashtra fourth and Tamil Nadu fifth. Question will be direct. Which state topped in the land record and service index? Which was the state? It was Madhya Pradesh. It was followed by West Bengal, Odisha, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. Only 13 states allow online mode of payment for property registration, while 9 states are still using paper stamps for it. Alright, so this is the state that you need to remember. It is Madhya Pradesh that has topped in this index. Next we'll be talking about ease of living index and the municipal performance index. This ranking of this index, of these two indexes, were released by Hardeep Singh Puri. As you can see him in the picture, he is the Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs in India. Alright, so we will be discussing two rankings here: ease of living index of 2020 and performance index of 2020. Let's look at it. Alright, this is the chart where all the data is provided, and it is important. First of all, you should know there are two categories. First is the million plus population. That means if in an area there are more than million people, it comes under million plus population category. Then there is second category, that is less than million population. So the question, if it is asked which city topped in the ease of living index in the million plus category, it was Bangalore. All right, the score was 66.7. Second position was of Pune, third was of Ahmedabad, and fourth was of Chennai, and fifth was of Surat. All right, this is for million plus population. Then if we talk about less than million population, the city that topped was Shimla, followed by Bhubaneswar, Silvassa, Kakinda, and Salem. All right, do remember this score. It is important. Just remember the score for the first, the city for both million plus and less than million plus. Just remember the score of the topped city or location. That is for Bangalore, it was 66.7, and for Shimla, it is 60.9. So this was your ease of living index. Municipal Performance Index of 2020. All right, if we talk about million plus category, the city that topped was of Indore. And if we talk about for less than million, means less than million plus plus population category, the city that topped was Delhi. All right, this MPI index, that is your municipal performance index, it has been launched as an accompaniment to the ease of living index. It seeks to examine local government practices in municipalities across areas of services, finance, policy, technology, and governance. It also seeks to simplify and evaluate the complexities in local government's practices and promote the ethos of transparency and accountability. All right, this is your MPI, that is Municipality Performance Index. Then if we talk about Ease of Living Index, it is an assessment tool that evaluates the quality of life and the impact of various initiatives for urban development. It provides understanding of participating cities across India based on the quality of life, economic ability of the city, and the sustainability and various other factors. All right, and the aim is of this ease of living index is to enable cities to systematically assess themselves against global and national benchmarks and encourage them to shift towards an outcome based approach to urban planning and management, because that will help the people to grow. So these are the two indexes. Now moving on to the next. Next is that Union Minister, our Union Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank credits government's education reforms has led 12 Indian institutes to be in the part of World University Ranking list. Alright, I repeat, in the top 100 universities all over the world in the QS ranking. What does QS stands for? It stands for Quacquarelli Simons. Alright, in this Quacquarelli Simons World University Ranking of the top 100 institutes all over the world, 12 Indian institutes secured ranks among these top 100 institutes. Alright, and this is important. Name won't be asked, just remember that there are 12 institutes from India that were listed in the QS World University Ranking, or you can say Quacquarelli Simons World University Ranking. And the 12 institutes are IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Madras, IIT Kharagpur, IISc Bangalore, IIT Guwahati, IIM Bangalore, IIM Ahmedabad, JNU, Anna University, University of Delhi, this is DU, and OP Jindal University. Alright, so this is important. Next is India's first forest healing center inaugurated in Uttarakhand's Ranikhet. Question will be direct. Where is India's first forest healing center inaugurated? It was inaugurated, location is asked Ranikhet. If district is asked Ranikhet. If the state is asked, then it is Uttarakhand. Alright, and it is India's first forest healing center. If we look at the data, India's first forest healing center was inaugurated by noted environmentalist Joginder Bist in the pine-dominated forest located in Ranikhet in Kalika, Uttarakhand. It was developed by research wing of Uttarakhand Forest Department in an area of around 13 acres. The center is based on the concept of healing and revitalizing the overall health and well-being of the people by bringing them into direct contact with nature. What is the theme of the forest? Remember, the theme is be silent, go slow, think less, and feel more. This is important. What it is? Be silent, go slow, think less, and feel more. Take a note of it. Alright. Then the forest is inspired from Japanese technique of forest bathing and ancient Indian tradition. And the theme is be silent, go slow, think less, and feel more. And where is this India's first healing center inaugurated? It was inaugurated in Uttarakhand state. Alright. Next. Odisha's CM Naveen Patnaik inaugurated India's first World Skills Center in Bhubaneswar. So many questions from this thumbnail. Alright, what is, just look at it. First, who is, simple question, who is the CM of Odisha? He is Naveen Patnaik. First question. Second, who inaugurated the India's first World Skills Center? It was inaugurated by Naveen Patnaik. Second question. Then, where is India's first World Skills Center set up? If the name of the state is asked here, then it is in Bhubaneswar. Third question. Alright, three questions have been framed. Naveen Patnaik inaugurated India's first World Skills Center in Bhubaneswar. And what is this World Skills Center? As the name suggests, this is providing skill to the people so that they can go and earn for themselves. Alright. Then, if we look at the data, Odisha's CM Naveen Patnaik inaugurated the India's first World Skills Center and Advanced Skill Training Institute at Mancheshwar, Bhubaneswar. Just remember the name Bhubaneswar. It is in Bhubaneswar with a cost of 1342 crore rupees under the Odisha Skill Development Project. The center is developed with the assistance of ADB Bank, that is Asian Development Bank, and ITE Education Services, that is in Singapore, as the knowledge partner. ADB will share the cost of developing with the WSC, and WSC is your World Skill Center. What is the aim behind building this World Skill Center? It is to provide advanced skill training to youth of the state and prepare them for competing at global level, to expand the skill development to reach every village and make children aware of the career choices. What is the basic facilities, or what is about this World Skill Center? It is a 18-story state-of-art building with a helipad and is now the tallest structure in the state. The question can also be framed like, which is the tallest structure in Bhubaneswar? It is WSC, that is your World Skill Center building with 18-story. Then the center is built over an area of 4.5 lakh square feet in the Mancheshwar industrial area. The center seeks inspiration from Institute of Technical Education Services Singapore, World Skills Russia, and Global Institute for Transforming Skills South Korea, the knowledge partners. So coming back, which is the location, or which is the state in which the India's first World Skills Center is set up? It is set up in Bhubaneswar. Who inaugurated World Skills Center? It is inaugurated by Naveen Patnaik, and he is the CM of Odisha. Alright, I correct myself. I just corrected. I was saying that state is Bhubaneswar. No, the state is Odisha. Alright, World Skills Center has been set up in Odisha. Alright, and location is Bhubaneswar. So Bhubaneswar is given or Odisha is given. So you have to mark Odisha. Alright, and if Bhubaneswar is given, among all, if Odisha is not given and Bhubaneswar is given, you have to mark Bhubaneswar. Alright, the state is Odisha. I stand correct myself. Alright, I stand corrected. Moving on next. To commission India's largest floating solar power plant. First of all, tell me, we just saw in the last video, where is the world's largest solar floating project being made? It is being made in Singapore. Yes, correct. Alright, this is the world's largest solar floating power plant. Alright, and if we talk about the India's largest solar floating power plant, it is being commissioned at Ramagundam. Alright, and this is in Telangana. Alright, then if we look at the data, India's largest floating solar power plant of 100 megawatt capacity being constructed at Ramagundam in the Pedapalli district of Telangana. State is Telangana. Do remember, it will be direct. Alright, where is the India's largest floating solar power plant set up? It is set up in Telangana. It is to be commissioned by May-June 2021. It will be India's largest floating solar plant in the single location as of now. It is being developed by name of the organization. You should also know this is NTPC South, that is National Thermal Power Corporation Limited, and the cost of building this floating solar power plant is 423 crore rupees over the water surface of Sri Ram Sagar project reservoir. All right, and it is being built on the water body. If it is asked, then it is Sri Ram Sagar project reservoir. It will be the India's biggest floating solar power plant by generation capacity to date. And what is the capacity? It is 100 megawatt. Along with the 100 megawatt Ramagundam solar plant, two other projects, namely the 92 megawatt floating unit at Kayakulam gas plant in Kerala and the 25 megawatt unit at Shimhadri power plant in Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, will also be commissioned by May-June 2021. Alright, so India's largest solar floating power plant is at Telangana, Ramagundam. Next, and where is the world's largest solar floating power plant? It is in Singapore. Next, NHSRCL signs MOU with Japanese firm for track work of Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train project. Alright, as you can see here, Narendra Modi ji, and who is this person? He is Yoshihide Suga and he is the PM of Japan. Alright, so there has been an MOU signed between India and Japan for bullet train. As you can see in the picture, there are few trains back. These are bullet trains. Alright, and an MOU has been signed between India and Japan for the bullet train project. Alright, and this bullet train will be connecting Mumbai and Ahmedabad. This is important. Then National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited of India and Japan Railway Track Consultant Company Limited of Japan. These are the two organizations that have signed an memorandum of understanding for track works in the 237 kilometer stretch between Vadodara and Vapi in Gujarat for the Mumbai-Ahmedabad High Speed Rail Network, also known as Bullet Train Project. Alright, so this will be built between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. This will be of 237 kilometer stretch, and the two organizations are National High Speed Rail Corporation of India, and from Japan it is Japan Railway Track Consultant Company Limited. If the name of the country is asked, then it is India with Japan have signed this bullet train project MOU. And the two locations between which these two bullet trains will be running is Mumbai and Ahmedabad. Next, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated curtain raiser activities of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. I repeat, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. It was a curtain raiser activities, and this was inaugurated by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. Alright, if we look at the data here, mark this important first. Alright, you need to know. Then, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the curtain raiser activities of Azadi Ka Mahotsav India at 75, the government initiative to mark the 75 years of independence at the event organized in the Ahmedabad, Gujarat. It will continue till 15th August of 2023. In 2023, India will be celebrating 75 years of independence. Alright, for that, Narendra Modi has inaugurated Azadi Ka Mahotsav. Alright, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Then he also flagged off the Padyatra, that is the Padyatra Freedom March from Sabarmati Ashram, Ahmedabad to Dandi, Gujarat, as a part of India at the 75 program. This India at the 75 is just saying that India has now completed 75 years of independence in year 2023. This marks the 91st anniversary of Gandhi's 1930 Dandi March. He has also launched various cultural and digital initiatives for the celebration of India at the rate of 75, that for 75 years of independence in the year 2023. PM Modi launched a website for Amrit Mahotsav as well as an Atmanirbhar incubator that seeks to support around 40,000 families involved in the traditional craft. What are the efforts to preserve the history of independence? Various sites with historic importance were being revived. The sites included sites associated with the Dandi Yatra were completed. The sites in Andaman where Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose hosted the tricolor flag after the formation of the first independent government in India. Sites associated with Baba Sahib has been developed in the form of Pattajita. The memorial in Jallianwala Bagh and memorial of the Paika movement has also been developed. All right, so on the auspicious occasion of auspicious occasion of the 75th independence of India in the year 2023, this Azadi Ka Mahotsav or Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, this is a curtain raiser activities. This has been inaugurated by whom? It has been inaugurated by Narendra Modi ji, who is the PM of India. All right. Next is also that Narendra Modi ji has addressed the 4th Global Ayurveda Festival, that was a virtual conference held at Kerala. I repeat, Narendra Modi ji has addressed the 4th Global Ayurveda Festival, that was a virtual conference and that was held in Kerala. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji virtually addressed the 4th edition of the Global Ayurveda Festival, the largest Ayurvedic event held anywhere across the world. The event is held in a virtual format, is organized by the Center for Innovation in Science and Social Action from March 12 to 19, 2021. The festival aims to popularize Ayurveda and traditional forms of medicines. Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that is FICCI, is the industry partner. Invest India was the strategic investment facilitation partner. Chairman of this GAF. What is this GAF? GAF, we just saw, it is Global Ayurveda Festival. So don't get confused. Chairman of the Global Ayurveda Festival or the 4th edition of Global Ayurveda Festival is V. Muralidharan. He is the Union Minister of State for External Affairs and Parliamentary Affairs. Remember this. Who is the chairman of the Global Ayurveda Festival? He is Muralidharan. Then around 25 countries participated in this Global Ayurveda Festival and this was virtually organized. What is the location? From Kerala. All right, important, do take a note of it, and this is the question that can be asked. All right, because India has a history of this Ayurvedic medicines. Moving on to next. Indian Space Research Organization along with NIT Rourkela has signed an MOU to set up an incubation center. Incubation center is a kind of an office or space for the people who are building their own startup. Alright, so ISRO and NIT Rourkela has set up or signed a MOU for Space Technology Incubation Center. Alright, two organizations you should know, ISRO and NIT Rourkela. They both have set up a Space Technology Incubation Center or STIC at NIT Rourkela campus, that is in Odisha. Alright, this will be the 4th STIC of the 6th targeted by ISRO. Under this MOU, 2 crore rupees will be provided by ISRO to NIT for infrastructure development of STIC and to carry out ISRO projects and prototypes. If we talk about ISRO, it was founded by Vikram Sarabhai, also known as the father of Indian space program. Then it was established in 1969 and the headquarter of Bangalore is in Karnataka. Now the homework that I'm giving you is that you have to tell me which was the first satellite launched by India. All right, and just focus on this term, that first satellite that was launched by India. All right, then moving on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched Jal Shakti Abhiyan and the theme for this Jal Shakti Abhiyan was Catch the Rain. Do take a note of this theme. Catch the Rain is the theme for Jal Shakti Abhiyan that was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. On the occasion of the World Water Day that is celebrated on 22nd of March, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched two key events. All right, first he launched Jal Shakti Abhiyan. Theme was Catch the Rain campaign to undertake water conservation at grassroots level through people's participation. All right, if we talk about this Jal Shakti Abhiyan Catch the Rain, this is important and you need to know about this only. All right, this is the important one and will be asked in your exam. So we will be studying about this only today. Jal Shakti Abhiyan, when it is celebrated, 22nd of March. We just saw 22nd of March. All right, theme of this Jal Shakti Abhiyan, Catch the Rain, and it is an initiative of Ministry of Jal Shakti under National Water Mission. Theme, Catch the Rain where it falls, when it falls. All right, see, I told you, no, the theme is very important. Theme is Catch the Rain where it falls, when it falls is the theme of Jal Shakti Abhiyan that was recently launched by Narendra Modi ji on World Water Day that is celebrated on 22nd of March. The objective is to create rainwater harvesting structures suitable to climatic conditions and ensuring proper storage of rainwater. It will be undertaken in both rural and urban areas from 22nd of March till the 30th of November 2021. All right, so 3 to 4 questions are there from this news, that who inaugurated the Jal Shakti Abhiyan? It was launched. Jal Shakti Abhiyan, it was launched by Narendra Modi ji. What is the theme of Jal Shakti Abhiyan? It is Catch the Rain where it falls, when it falls. When, on what day this Jal Shakti Abhiyan was launched? It was launched on World Water Day. And when is World Water Day celebrated? It is celebrated on 22nd of March. All right. Next, under United Nations Office for Project Services has partnered with the government of Denmark to support Jal Jeevan Mission in Bundelkhand and Vindhya regions of UP. Mark this question important first. All right, United Nations Office for Project Services has partnered with two things. First, the government of Denmark. All right, they have, who has partnered with government of Denmark? It is United Nations Office. Either can be asked in the exam. All right, so United Nations Office and government of Denmark has partnered together, or they have came together for support of Jal Jeevan Mission in which location? Bundelkhand and Vindhya regions of UP. This is, I mark it star here, means that is important. These two locations, Bundelkhand and Vindhya regions of Uttar Pradesh. Which two organizations will be supporting Jal Jeevan Mission in Bundelkhand and Vindhya regions? They are United Nations Office for Project Services and the government of Denmark. And what is the mission? The question can be reversed. United Nations Office and government of Denmark are supporting a mission in Bundelkhand and Vindhya regions of UP. What is the name of the mission? It is Jal Jeevan Mission. This also, that is 22nd of March on the World Water Day. We just saw there were two missions that were launched. All right, so this is the second one. All right, on 2nd of March, World Water Day, the government of Denmark and the United Nations Office for Project Services entered into a partnership to provide strategic technical support for implementing Jal Jeevan Mission in Uttar Pradesh. Location, Bundelkhand and Vindhya regions of UP. Or if the state is asked, then you should know directly Uttar Pradesh. 11 water scarce districts of Bundelkhand and Vindhya region of Uttar Pradesh will be assisted with the scalable delivery modules by UNOPS. What is UNOPS? We just saw it stands for United Nations Office for Project Services. Then Sustainable Development Goal 6. India and the world is targeting to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 6, that is clean water and sanitization for all by 2030. This is the 6th Sustainable Development Goal. If we talk about Denmark, the Prime Minister is Mette Frederiksen, capital is Copenhagen. And if we talk about United Nations Office for Project Services, it was formed in 1973 and the headquarters is in Copenhagen, Denmark. All right, then moving on. Next news. Khelo India scheme has been extended till 2025 to 2026. All right. Khelo India has been giving a very good response, and it also adds to the GDP as well as it encourages youth to take part in sports. So it is a very good scheme. That is the reason India has extended this Khelo India scheme till 2025 to 2026. Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has decided to extend Khelo India scheme from year 2021-2022 to 2025 to 2026. The ministry has furnished an expenditure finance committee memorandum to Ministry of Finance for the extension of this scheme. 8,750 crore rupees has been estimated as a financial implication of the new Khelo India scheme in the EFC memorandum. During the union budget, an amount of 657 crore was allocated in the budget estimate for the year 2021-22 under the Khelo India scheme. If we talk about Khelo India National Program for Development of Sports was launched in October 2017. When is Khelo India program launched for the first time? It was launched in 2017. All right, which was launched in 2000. It is the Khelo India National Program for Development of Sport. It was launched in 2017 with an aim to strengthen the entire sports ecosystem for promoting the twin objectives of mass participation and promotion of excellence in sports across India. All right, so Khelo India scheme has been extended till the year 25-26. Next, and the last news for the day is net zero emission energy transition achievable by 2050. This has been recently said by Niti Aayog CEO, that is Amitabh Kant. All right, according to a report naming India transforming to a net zero emission energy system that was recently released by TERI. TERI stands for the Energy and Resource Institute of India, and Shell, the otherwise known as the Royal Dutch Spell. The net zero emissions in energy systems in India is achievable by 2050. Amitabh Kant, CEO of Niti Aayog, has released this report. All right, and who developed, or this report was released by TERI and Shell. All right, and the person who released this was Amitabh Kant. The report is one of the first assessments of the challenges that India would face if India were to move towards net zero emissions energy system. Factors that are needed to achieve this target is suitable policy and innovation driven context for deploying clean energy technologies on a massive scale, development of new fuels such as liquid biofuels, biogas, as well as hydrogen produced from electrolysis, and carbon removals technology that will have a major role in moving towards a zero emission. A current affair question for you: recently in Delhi recently a air purifier was set up. All right, or it will be set up in coming days. Tell me at what location this air purifier will be set up. All right, so this is your video. I hope you enjoyed it. So friends, this was our video. I hope you enjoyed our video. If you liked our video, do hit the like button, share the link with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, or if you are new to our channel, then do subscribe, because it motivates us to bring a better content for you guys. Also, if you have any trouble regarding login or payment or any other issues, then you can reach to us on our mail, that is support@affairscloud.com, or you can call us on the number 9677333862, and we'll resolve your issue as soon as possible. Also, you should go and check our courses that are available at a very reasonable price, and that will help you to boost your preparations for upcoming government exams. You can use the code Vikas10 to get a straight 10% discount on any purchase you make. All right, so that's all for the day. Take care.